Hi everyone, today I made my first YouTube video and I'm going to be showing you how to make this beaded anklet. You can turn it into a bracelet if you want, use fewer beads and less wire. To make this anklet, you're going to need some bead stringing wire, some beads, I chose turquoise and black, some crimper beads. You'll need 2 for this. Scissors or a cutting tool, a crimper tool, and clasps. So I set it all up. I'm going to be using 6 of the turquoise beads and then a black bead, and then repeat that throughout the anklet. And I think there are 8 black beads. Okay, starting off for this anklet, you're going to need to cut roughly 10.5 or 11 inches of the beading wire. And to start off the anklet, we're going to be putting on the circle part of the clasp. First you put the crimping bead on the wire, then you put the circle part of the clasp on, and you bring the end of the wire back around and through the crimping bead, and you push that through. As far as you can, or as tight as you can. And now you're going to crimp the crimping bead down on the wire. So you take the crimping tool and you use the first hole of it to crimp it down. And then you use the second part to make the indentation. And then you do the first part again. And pull on that to make sure it's tight, secure and tight. Okay, so now you start. Well, you can cut part of that off, but I like to leave some of it on so it hides under, I'm talking about the extra part, excess part of the wire. I like to leave some of it on so it will hide in the bead, some of the beads. Okay, so I'm going to start stringing this. And like I said before, I'm going to put 6 of the turquoise beads on, and I just use the wire kind of like a needle and just go through the beads. I don't know if you can see that, you cannot, sorry. And I'm putting 6 of the beads on. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to put the black bead on. And I'm going to repeat this step until I have all of the 8 black beads on. This is probably the easiest thing to make with beading anklets or bracelets. You can do the same thing. You can do the same thing to make a bracelet, obviously, just use less of the wire and less of the beads. Or you could even do more and wrap it around your arm once or 2 or 3 times. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so I just finished putting the beads on the anklet. And they actually dissed the last black bead, the 8th one, because it was long enough. Make sure when you're making this to try it, like size it up on your own ankle, because yours might be smaller, it might be bigger than mine. Okay, so now I'm going to put the end clasp on the end part of the clasp on the end of the anklet. And to do that, you do pretty much the same thing as a start. You put the crimp bead on, and then you put the end part of the clasp on. You can do this with a lobster claw clasp or I guess any other one, except for the crimp clasp, whatever that's called. And then you put the end of that through the crimp bead, and you pull that almost as tightly as you can. Make sure all the beads are towards the other end, push down. And I'm gonna string this through the last 1 or 2 beads. I'll do 2. So that way the end of the wire is tucked in there. So pull that as tight as I can and crimp the crimp bead. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you don't have these tools, the crimper or this wire cutter, for this kind of wire you can just use regular scissors. And for the crimp beads, you can use the flat nose pliers or even just like pliers from your toolbox. It works just the same. I'm sure it holds the same too. So now I'm going to crimp this bead. Use the first part of the crimping pliers, the first hole. And you crimp that down. And then you use the second part to do the indentation. Sorry, I'm not really in the camera. And then you push the first part again. And you put the crimp bead on. That's how you do that. Now I'm going to cut this wire as closely to the bead as I can get. And you tuck that in. And here is your newly made anklet or bracelet, whatever you decided to make.